Good morning, afternoon, evening or night, whenever you're watching this, welcome. Today I'm heading back to a dump site that I've visited before to pick up a few things that I couldn't carry out last time, and from there I will move on and see if I can find another riverside dump site, which according to certain vague maps might be about 3/4 of a mile further upstream. It's a mid-autumn day and the sky is a flat grey, which isn't the best for showing off quite how beautiful this West Yorkshire woodland can be. If you've watched my previous video here, then perhaps you'll remember the dappled sunlight playing in the water from that one, and this one looks a little dreich. That said, there will still be some natural beauty and hopefully some good old things to find. We're starting out on a beach frequented by some of the local mudlarks, and it's well searched, but there's no harm in having a look as we wander. Recent rains may have lifted the river over the beach, and though it's unlikely I'm the first person back on the beach since then, it's just about possible. First bit of blue and white, with vibrant colour and good for crafting projects. Autumnal leaf fall does somewhat get in the way of spotting small things. I don't mind though. For today I searched for an entire dump site. Evidence there of a mudlarker having a scratch round in the low pressure spot behind a big rock, and that is evidence that this beach has been searched since the river last rose, so let's move on. I think these slabs of rough cut gritstone were once part of a weir channeling water into a mill pond, or if it's really old, into a mill run which would power a water wheel. I'd guess that it's the softness of the shale stone under it that's allowed the river to lift and carry off most of it. A little chip of blue and white, flat enough for what I'm collecting bits and pieces for. The rocks today are much slippier than the last time I came this way, and the river's higher, so the going is slower. Here we are, at the first dump site of the day, and this one I would not have found if not for bottle diggers making a mess. Does that mean I shouldn't be critical? Nah, not when lead and plastics are getting into the river as a result. Anyway, there's the thing I found last time, which somebody kindly identified for me as the tail light of the 32 Ford, but also wisely said is too far gone to restore. Unless I can think of a craft use for it before I leave this site, I will leave it again. This plastic water bottle will come home with me and get put into recycling. And this thing, nice vintage switch, sadly quite broken, but there's brass inside, and I will take it for that. Right, let's see if I can find all the things that I left last time, both reluctantly and in one case willingly, and anything nice that I didn't spot. Nice little amber brown bottle, but I do have quite a few of these already. If I remember right, just over here is one of the things that I'm here for. Yep, I didn't know exactly what it was last time, and left it because I didn't know what chemical contents I'd be dealing with, but now I do know, and it won't be me who's dealing with the contents. A viewer requested that I pick it up for him to restore, and that's not really something I would usually agree to do, because most of the places I visit aren't worth revisiting soon after without something changing in between, like a flood. But I was already planning on coming back here anyway, and he's local, going to pick it up and give me pictures of it once it's restored. And he has an almost complete crate of them from a railway signal box. I'm interested to see how well he can restore something that looks stained green by algae and a bit corroded at the top, with a thick plug of tar inside, which I guess would have to be removed. So I shall take it. Little glass, black faceted bead. It's actually hollow, very light. That makes me wonder how it was made. Blow molded is my guess. Happy with that. This is where I left a big crumpled sheet of copper, which was too big for any of the 3 bags I had with me. It is not where I left it, but it is still here, considerately placed in a prominent spot by local mudlark Amanda Bell, who is a friend I've never met, but I will meet her one day when it's safe. Looks like Amanda has left a few other things that she thinks I might like, and for this bottle at least, she is right. What a lovely Art Deco design, and in uranium glass too. If it was intact, I think perhaps Amanda would have taken it. But, yes, think it would just about be possible to craft a repair. Not a restoration, but perhaps artful in its way. We'll see. The little bottle is a maybe, maybe not. And the millipede is a sweet little scavenger bug. This variety is herbivorous and has far fewer than the 1,000 feet that its name suggests. In this pile here there was a very large and quite pretty in a brutalist sort of way bleach bottle. Cannot see it on the top or sticking out. It is quite possible it's been taken, not likely by Amanda who prefers smaller things, but if no one else knew about this site there wouldn't be these bottle digger holes. I think it's gone, so I shall move on. There was also a big industrial pipe array here too. That's gone. Hopefully to an upcycler who'll make something interesting with it. I haven't, so far, figured out exactly how far this dump site extends. There's still jars and bottles poking out, so at least a bit further. Drainage channel. Probably late 19th, early 20th century given the brickwork, and so unrelated to the mills. Might be the end of a dump site. Or that might be. Very rusty wire fence, which I'm sure isn't actually hurting the tree, but that thought does always cross my mind when I see a tree that's physically enveloped in a movable piece of metal. And the land beyond lies much more naturally, so end of the site. Webster and Sons, Brewers, Halifax. Not quite a nice enough bottle to justify the very hard work it would be to clean up, rust stains and all. I will, however, take the bottle stopper, which is a small thing, almost like a counter measuring the success of a mudlarking expedition, as well as it being kind of fun to be the first person in 70 plus years to take the stopper out. Nice colour, but a bit scratched up and plain. This looks interesting. Headless. Horseman? Oh, glaze. So leadless, sadly, rather than headless or legless. Or scratch that, reverse it. I am happy that it's leadless. That is just how I prefer my glazes, after all. A poison bottle. Well, a disinfectant bottle that nevertheless has poisonous embossed across the top part and the ridges. But it's a screw top, and one I have found a few times already, so I think I will actually take it. Maybe a few poison bottles today. Another one. I didn't find any like this until this year, and now it's a bit like they're an invasive species, slowly taking over the territory of all the native poison bottles. There was another poison bottle around here, somewhere. Ah, right in front of me, but was hiding beneath a leaf. Poison. Not to be taken. Taking it. Don't really fancy taking the slugs too. I don't wish them harm either. They're more a part of this place than I am, so gently scrape them off. I'm at the bottom edge of a spoil pile now, looking for metal, copper and brass. And a first for me, something I haven't found before. I think it's a clip from either suspenders, braces or a corset. Not sure which, but I'll take it. And this coil of copper wire, which really won't have much copper left in it. I am collecting verdigris to one day try refining it back into copper. Probably a watch strap. No sign of a watch. Light bulb. Looks like that tree might have stopped some interesting things from escaping into the river. Like that octagonal or decahedronal jar hiding amongst the roots. And this aluminium cable, which, depending on how long it actually is, might be something I take for armature wire. Okay, secure footing first and put the camera away because this is definitely a two-handed job. Turns out it's rather longer than I expected it to be, and although I usually carry them, this is one of the rare outings that I haven't brought a pair of wire snippers, my old ones being blunted by much use, and my new ones just not put in my bag yet. So I'm going to weave it back into the trees so it doesn't get swept away, and hopefully I'll have snippers with me when I come back this way, in the spring, probably. Wow, almost an onion bottle in shape, but certainly not in nature. It's a vase, and not a particularly old one. I don't think there's anything much I'd like to do with it, so I shall place it carefully in a spot it's not going to get trodden on. I know which manufacturer made this bottle, but for some reason it's a name I can never actually remember. Chest and lung mixture. Well, this is a new one on me. Syrup of linseed and licorice. That sounds like a deeply unpleasant combination. And I am an adventurous chef. Those are definitely not flavours I would be happy to have sitting together on my taste buds. That one's more to my taste. Liquifruta, which in its more common form is a garlic flavoured cough mixture. And garlic is something I do like. Second to last of the big bottle digger dug pits. and its associated spoil pile is big, and which, if I remember rightly, has a lineup of bottles, including some poisons. Yep. And over here there's a collapse or minor landslide. Doesn't look like it's revealed anything interesting, and there's a lot of midges hanging around it. Anything of interest over this way? There's that bottle. Looks like maybe a magnesia. Huh. Yep, Dinnerfords. Quite a nice bottle, but one I already have, so I'll leave it for the next larker who might not have one. Every time I come out larking, my taste in bottles is subtly different. Last time I was here, none of these really appealed to me. Let's see if today one or more of them do. There's two poisons, both clear glass. This one has glass disease, which is an inherent instability in the glass formulation that allows deterioration to happen. In this case, some ugly mottling with just a hint of beautiful iridescence. This one, clear though it is, I kinda like it. It will look good if I can clean it well enough and put some LED lights inside it. And that, I think, is it for this pit. I still haven't found an intact one of these. Well, lots of intact marmalade jars, but none with even relatively plain branding printed on it. Just embossed branding on the bottom, usually heart wreaths. I think a beautifully printed one would count as a bucket list find for me, along with an intact cod bottle, intact torpedo bottle, intact onion bottle, and anything man-made that's really, really old. This hill, for instance, has Neolithic sites up on the tops, and though it's technically possible that I might find something that old down where the rivers and streams flow, it's very unlikely. A bit of copper mesh. Nice colour, but no. Do let me know if you see anything wonderful that I'm missing. Now that is something I don't remember seeing, and it's curious. Mirrored bottle, with a spike at the bottom. I think it's the vacuum chamber from a vacuum flask, although how it came to be outside of the outside casings, I can't imagine. Halls, wine tonic, sounds, quality. I'm sure it was thoroughly enjoyed by whoever drank it. Masons, okay. And this is kinda cute, little copper planter with floral decorative band around the intact remains. I'll take it. Found another, never seen one before, and now two in one day. This is the way, and it's broken, making me more sure than before that it was a vacuum flask. Not going to take it. The little tiny bottles though, hundreds of them I have. I'm sure I can find room for one more though. Two more. 3. And that, I think, is this side, done with for today. Time to try and find another. This is a little side quest. I could see what looks to be man-made things falling down into the river system on the other side of the river. And as I get closer, it's become apparent that it's not another dump site, or at least if it is, it's a very small, unofficial one. But my best guess is that it's a collapsed shed. Both possibilities would account for the asbestos, but only the collapsed, forgotten old shed is easily forgivable. Sadly, nothing much I can do about it, beyond reporting it. We're quite a way now beyond the first dump site and starting to see a higher concentration of things from, hopefully, the second. Mostly broken glass and pottery sherds, the same sort of age as the last lot, late 1800s to 1950s, with a few bits of possibly much older dough rising bowls mixed in. Must be getting close to the second site now. There's a lot in the water. Flag and rim. Bit of electrical wire. Probably the only bit I'll take from this stop, but would be interesting to come here in waders with a glass-bottomed bucket to see if any treasures are hiding in the depths of this pool. The pandemic hasn't been good for my fitness. I'm getting a bit tired already. If the dump site turns out to be a good one, I might not be able to carry everything I want for a mile and a half back to the car. I see some copper, a piece of the yoke from an old cathode ray television, a nice few ounces of scrap for my forge. What did my subconscious see that made me stop here? A little bit of copper wire. Sometimes my subconscious does do some quite surprising things. Jar lid, in nice condition apart from being broken. That's what. Part of a cup celebrating the noble art of barefist pugilism. I think it's something like that. A pretty good find. Now, how am I going to get past this? Sometimes when you're down there at the water's edge, paths just slightly up the hillside are completely hidden. I only found this path because I tried walking through a holly bush and found it on the other side. Anyway, I will keep an eye on the river and head back down to it if I spot anything interesting or any likely looking beach. Haven't ever seen ivy trailing quite so far as this before. It's almost as if it's striving for the river. I'm afraid I can't really tell you much about that bridge without revealing exactly where I am, and I can't do that without leading some bottle diggers to exactly where I'm going, which is a shame because that bridge is part of a fascinating history worthy of its own video one day. One day when I've explored the site thoroughly and run low on things left to find. Intriguing lump of rust. Copper or brass pipe heading into it. And it seems like that pipe, or another one, twists around this handle, coming out there in the ring, so I'm guessing it was once a gas hob, perhaps off a camping stove. Is that a good guess? The pipe that spirals around it is throwing doubt on that, but what else could it be? Ideas, anyone? I think I'm going to take it and see if I can knock or electrolyse most of the rust off it. Maybe we'll see. I think that there is the start of the second dump site. No obvious bottle digger holes yet, but little sparkles of glass on the hillside, and unfortunately, rubbish approaching the river. So let's go, very carefully. This looks like the sort of valley that will have a lot of wild garlic in the springtime. Might be worthy of a foraging walk then. First things first, the plastic. The enamelware plate isn't really very bad for the environment, so it can stay. And now let's climb up and see what can be seen. Well, not much so far, but this is the very edge of the site, so I'm reasonably sure there'll be much more. That's a sweet little bottle, beautiful colour, so in the bag it goes. The things are spread out at this edge of the site and appear to have rolled down this slope. Can't see any bottle digger holes at the top, so I'm guessing that the heart of the site is further this way. Alert, bro. Sowerby Bridge. Not one I found before. Big crack along the shoulder of it though, so I'll leave it. Gorgeous colour, shame it's missing a bit. Let's see. James Simpson, a common name on the bottles hereabouts, had a business brewing and bottling ale and mineral water. Died in 1923. Nice-ish jar and teaspoons medicine bottle. This is something I've not seen before and probably quite horrible for some people, but it is interesting to me. A bottle about half full with mud and collected rainwater, and hundreds of eggs laid upside down on the glass above the water. I am curious to know which creature might one day hatch from those eggs. They look a bit like fly eggs, but it's midway through autumn and there's frosts coming soon. Suboptimal for most insects. The reason why I'm climbing up this steep slope is because few people do, so the finds are sparse, and there's unlikely to be an incredible bounty at the top, but it's quite likely that I might be the first picker of a few nice things up here. That, up there, if I can get to it. Yeah, I like that. And I can, from here, easily go a bit further. Beautifully rich, aqua-coloured lung tonic bottle. An equally beautiful colour, just a plainer bottle, which I still like. And this one. Broken neck, unfortunately. Sorry that the camera work is a little wobbly. I'm concentrating on not sliding down. Almost every bottle in this site has wonderful vibrant colour. I wonder if that's just a coincidence, or if anything in this environment reacts with anything in the glass to bring out the colour. A mini cod bottle. I like the small ones, and I haven't tried yet, but perhaps the glass is thinner on them and easier to cut than the large ones. Doesn't actually look like it from the base. Ah well, cut the top off, make a candle inside. Just need to get some scents, and perhaps some colouring for the wax I've got. Nope, not what I thought it was. Got to wonder on a hillside like this, how deep does the rubbish layer go? There's only a few things on the surface. Is this part of the site that's only skin deep? Perhaps I will come with a ground probe. I do have a site in mind for trying out a ground probe, and I have permission. It's not technically a dump site, but the landowners did find a lot of bottles there, and it's an interesting place. Some pine cones. A whole plate of pine cones. I'll take them. And the bottle is very plain. An unusual shape certainly, but not something I want. I came back to the riverside because the heart of this site is quite a tangle of fallen trees, and this way at least is easy to navigate to gauge the scale of things. Bit of copper wire. Fair-sized sheet of brass. Not sure what it would have been, the lid off something perhaps. I think I've seen similar made in plastic. Anyway, big, awkward bit of scrap. Get in the bag. Do shout out if you see anything. There is a lot to see, probably too much. I doubt I'm going to explore this site fully today, just don't have much energy left. But what I've seen so far is amply convincing me to make a return visit here. Just there is a stream that runs down through the diggings. Up there would certainly be things to find. But today I think I'm content just walking the riverside edge, perhaps climbing up a bit if I see a route that's gentler. We'll see. I see brass. A coin? Ha, no. The handle for a very rusted lid. Not really worth the effort to extricate the small bit of brass. It is appealing though, as saucepan lid handles go. Part of the wheel of an old press or mangle. I do keep finding these, and every time I think, maybe next time, I'll take it, do something creative with it, but not today. I don't think I've ever been at a dump site where the toppled trees have been so numerous and such large, old, established trees. I wonder if any actually fell while someone was digging amongst the roots. This looks like I could wander up and see the lay of the land. ceramic disc. Broken off of something bigger, a spool perhaps. That sheer top, lovely thing, but I have many. If I include this in what I intend to make one day, namely a bird bath and bird feeding station tiled in pottery pieces, will it be an ugly, eclectic mess? James of the Mudlarking channel Find and Create made a bathroom floor tiled in blue and white pottery pieces, and it looks marvellous. Maybe I should restrict my colour palette too. Sweet little bottle that I have so many of. Another cod bottle, another James Simpson, and this one doesn't seem to have a crack across the shoulders, so I'm inclined to take it. There's something brass down there that I shall get to, but first I spotted some more brass up here. Wonderful colours. I am going to have to use some of these verdigris coloured sheets of copper and brass in some craft work. It's just too pretty to melt down. Yay, it does appear to be in really good condition. I'll take it. And this bit of blue and white. And my goodness, this dumpsite just goes all the way up. It might be worthy of several more videos. Right, let's head back down, collect that brass thing, which I think looks like a small boiler or fuel tank, maybe off an old bike. Interesting rose decoration on each end. A few extra holes that don't look like corrosion. Any ideas, anyone? It is going to be tough to clean up, but I'll take it, and I'd certainly like to know what it is before I decide what to do with it. Restore it or scrap it. It's not really got decorative piece appeal to me. Anyway, might be the last find of the day. I'm tired. Bovril jar. Roundup time. And gracious, that second dumpsite has a lot of potential. I think I barely scratched the surface of it. That'll teach me to let my fitness dwindle away. It really hasn't been all that appealing to go out walking when I have to put a glove on to open every gate, and a mask every time there's potential for another walker to get within 3 meters of me. And I do need to walk, since I can't swim until the pandemic ends. 10 or more miles, 3 or more times a week is what I really need to do to manage the mile-long river walks when I attempt them, particularly with climbing up hillsides to find things, and then carrying them all back down. So I'm sorry that I wasn't able to film the whole site. Next time I will do my best to do better. I am thankful to have friends like Amanda Bell, who left this Art Deco bottle out for me on top of what she knew I was heading back to the site to collect. I think I might be able to construct a prosthetic shoulder for it, making a silicone mould from the inside of the other shoulder to do so. I still need to get it a bit cleaner first, but I do hope to give it a go, just to see if I can. My pile of flat pottery pieces grows, and I'm going to start taking them out, laying them down, and seeing what works together for a pleasing effect. Don't know if it's going to result in any videos yet. We'll see. Just one bottle stopper for my collection. I hope I find some glass ones when I go back to that second site. The vibrancy of glass there is better than at any other dump site I've been to. And speaking of that, I got some wonderful bottles. I'm probably going to end up giving most of them away, but there are a few here that I definitely want to keep, particularly this poison and this tiniest of Bovril jars. Don't like Bovril, but I do like this. Still not 100% certain what this thing was, but it's going to be fun trying to carefully hit it with a hammer to find out. I'm always happy to find brass and copper, and happier still when there's quite a range like there is in this Roundup. So, off camera, or edited out for various reasons, I found a brass button, a lot more wire, including a pile of unstripped wire that's sitting behind me in a box. What I think is the remains of a tin whistle, which may have been plated in tin once, but is mostly brass, and mostly corroded away. a lot of copper sheeting with some very nice verdigris patina on, which if you've got any suggestions for craft projects I might do with them, then that'd be welcome. The most I've got so far is using some of it to patch a weighing scale pan I found last year, which I'd then encase in resin and have as a rather unique fruit bowl. I am not sure what this was. It's got 5 deliberate holes in it, plus a few corrosion ones. If you know, then please do say, or by all means hazard a guess. Finally, for the finds, there's the wet cell battery, which I picked up because I thought that seeing something like that restored by someone competent would be pretty cool. And Billy, the kind gentleman who wanted to restore it, has done a great job. He replaced the terminal post, repaired the carbon plate, replaced the pitch, then bleached the ceramic, and then he matched it with a jar. Both fortunately and unfortunately, it doesn't quite match his railway signal box batteries, because he says it's about 20 years older than them, dating from around 1910. It's been interesting and a good learning experience talking with him and seeing photos of his progress and collection. That's the finds, and the thank yous follow. As ever, a huge thank you to everyone who's donated through Ko-fi. It makes a huge difference and makes some of my goals feel achievable. Thank you too to everyone who's liked, commented, shared, or even just watched my videos. Some kind people have bought some things from my Amazon wishlist, and since the last video, all but 3 of them have arrived and cleared my parcel quarantine. I'm so looking forward to when that's no longer necessary. The few items that haven't cleared that hurdle will certainly appear in the next video. Deborah Van Hooser very kindly bought this LED lit magnifying glasses set with 5 different lens options, and that's going to be a great help when I'm trying to craft very small components of bigger projects. She also bought me a very nice set of tweezers, which will be used similarly for small-scale crafting. Thank you so much, Deborah. This is very generous and very much appreciated. Rosalind Phillipson wished me an early happy Christmas with the gift of a decent-sized memory card for the Canon M50. It came with a 32GB one, which is only about 25 minutes of filming. Thank you so much, Rosalind, and a very happy Christmas to you too. Eddie Karpinski bought this set of small but mighty tungsten carbide rotary burrs, which I want for wood carving. Thanks so much, Eddie. These are going to be very useful. Sadly, I don't know who it was who kindly bought this protective eye shield for me, but it's going to be invaluable, and I'm very grateful, so thank you, whoever you are. This sheet of perspex also came without any identifier of who it was who kindly bought it. Its intended use is for making the walls for silicone moulds, and I'm looking forward to using it, so thank you so much. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, and if you'd like to, then any way you choose to show appreciation is very much appreciated. The options are leaving a like, a comment, sharing the video, subscribing. There's the option, but never an obligation, to buy me a hypothetical coffee through Ko-fi or something off my Amazon wishlist, which propels me faster towards some of the videos that I would like to make. Thank you all very much for watching, and for now, goodbye.